Episode.
Oh, yeah.
Episode, like in a miniseries, right?
Yep, like in Ulysses. Ulysses episode.
That too, yeah. Welcome to Journey of an Aesthete podcast. We are honored, blessed, excited, happy that we have our second episode with a couple. Tina Stafford, correct?
Yes.
And Andy Paterson. Did I get the names right?
Yep.
You are a couple, but most importantly, perhaps, you are both in the same profession, right? You are both actors. And as well, from what I understand, singers. So you have talents in singing and acting, I believe, and you're married to each other, as well as playing the accordion. Is this true? And this is something
Yeah, musicians. What nowadays we say actor musicians.
Actor musicians.
Actor musos.
Yeah.
Some people call us.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. And so I thought that maybe, on this show, since you are a couple, we would talk about your lives together, as well as, each of you can speak about how you got into this, I think, often misunderstood art form of acting and performance. By misunderstood, I mean, there's a lot of course, sing-song stereotypes about actors, et cetera, and kitschcock and cattle and all the rest of the nonsense, right? But acting is one of the great professions. One of the, in my view, what actors do is alongside poets, novelists, musicians, and of course you're both musicians too, is one of the great art forms and art practices. So happy to have actors, always happy to have actors on our show.
Thanks.
So what did you want to talk about, or how did you want to begin, Andy and Tina, with your lives in the theater, or on the screen, or the stage?
It might be fun to just start at the beginning of what kind of hooked us. I'll begin. Yeah. It's a memory that will be with me forever.
Huh.
I was in, I think, 7th grade in Olympia, Washington.
Huh.
Loving playing trombone and in the jazz band and orchestra and band and marching band, and that was kind of my passion, and English. And my seatmate, trombone one, said somebody dropped out of the play, you should audition for it.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, and I went in and auditioned for it and got the part. And we went into our first rehearsal in the cafeteria. They just cleared all the tables away. And Mr. Compton, Bill Compton, was our director. He was the creative writing teacher and amazing visionary person. He turned all the lights off and had us take our shoes off.
Oh.
And had us begin to wander around the space, sort of in a circle.
Huh.
And then side coached us to walk as if we were tired, walk as if we were happy, walk as if we were fat, walk as if we were rich, walk as if we were mad, just trying these different things. And I felt myself falling in love with it. I had never experienced anything like that in school. I was always like, in my brothers and sisters and family were always interested in like reading and listening to music, but nothing like that had happened in school. And I was hooked. And it was Dark Side of the Moon was the play. I was playing Marvin Hudgens, like the town rough guy. And I'll just never forget it. And ever since then, it's been, I have to articulate it like it's an honor to be able to do it. From the beginning, it's always like, are you kidding me? I get to do this?
Yeah.
Sometimes get paid and sometimes not, but it's a labor of love, and the love is alive and bright and burning still to this day. So that's a little snippet into
that
hook.
I mean, that's a lot there. What years would that have been, if I may ask?
That would have been 1977, 78.
So 77 and 78 were magical years for me as a part-time New Yorker as a child.
Mm.
So those were the years I got to see Frank Langella in Dracula on the stage, and Raoul Julia and Threepenny Opera on the stage, and
oh my gosh,
I had a very what's the word, blessed childhood. I got to see all these things. But anyway, so I got to see, Sandy Meisner. That's a whole other Meisner. And that kind of stuff. So I knew a little bit about, but that's the same year. So I knew, I had a vibe when you were talking about that it could have been late 70s from your description. Now, Tina, what is your introduction to this art and this craft, if you can?
Well, I was always I was the only girl in a family full of boys. I had one brother. I had multiple boy cousins, and it was a lumber family.
Really?
My grandfather had started a business. He was an entrepreneur in the 50s. He was also mayor of our town in the 50s.
Wow.
But it was a small town. It's the heart of the Silicon Valley, Sunnyvale, California.
Oh, you're from California. Okay.
And I, as the little girl, I didn't really have a place. My cousins were going to all work for the lumberyard, and my brother too, and even my dad for a while. But I, at the time, by the time I was 6 or 7, I was like, I'm gonna try this and I'm gonna try that. And I was taking a baking class, and my mom was very happy to drive me to whatever I was interested in, which was always a lot, because I wanted to do everything. And she saw a flyer at the community center of auditions for a play, Sleeping Beauty, directed by her high school boyfriend.
Okay.
And Gary John. And so she said, I know this fella. Would you like to audition for the play? And so I had to do a monologue. And so I did "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring." I probably didn't do it like that. I was 7 years old, but I got in the play, and then I cried and cried and cried when it was over. And I auditioned for the next play and got in it and cried and cried and cried when it was over. And I was in the chorus. I was not a star at the Sunnyvale Community Players.
Sunnyvale, California. I mean, as you know, there's such a rich history of actors who are from California.
Yeah,
people often have the wrong idea that people just go to California, but actually, a lot of the richest talent in direction, acting, are people that are born, in places like much like what you're describing. Because California is like a country. It's such a large state.
And my notice, I've been on the East Coast 30 years now, and what I know about myself is that I'm gregarious. I will talk to anybody in the grocery store, in the elevator, and my mom was that way.
Okay.
And I think it's just because we're warm all the time in California, and nobody's encumbered by hats and scarves, and we're just always in shorts and t-shirts. And so when I first moved to the East Coast, I noticed that I would talk to somebody in the grocery store and they would be like, "Why is this lady talking to me?" And so I think that's part of my desire for the stage, is just I have so much to say.
Well, you said, you both, so Tina, you talked about crying when the show was over. So that tells me that you really love being on that stage, and you even said further that you didn't have to have a lead or a supporting role, just being in the chorus. What do you think? What do you think that is it just finding? I guess it's finding a sense of purpose in something you love, right?
With community, And I think Andy and I have talked about this before, that there's a connection that happens when 2 people or 20 people are side by side looking at the same thing, like, how can we do that thing? We're not looking at each other going, "Hi, how are you today?" We're going, how can we make that happen? And during that process, you become close you see people's anxieties, or you see the ups and downs of how people are able to handle challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Instant family. It's a
family.
Really much like becoming a family with whatever the group is that you're producing a play.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was the community, really, because when I did start to play leading roles, it was the same.
Right.
I would still be in the chorus. To me, it's the same. Of course, you want to speak and you want to have lines and you want to be a star, but at this point in my career, I'm not a star, and I don't.
Oh, you are a star.
But I don't imagine that that's really the end goal for any actor.
Yeah, we get asked the question a lot in talkbacks and by friends and family. If you had a choice, what would be your favorite role, or do you have a role you've played in your life? And I've always felt that it's not the role, it's the experience that happens when you're doing that play. Yeah. Whatever the role is, whether it's the lead, like Tina was saying, it's the lead or the chorus or whatever smallish part it is, it's much more important what takes place in that family and the daring do of the creative team and the things they ask us to do and the places they ask us to go explore, and then being able to have that undescribable magical thing of sharing it in a room with a bunch of people looking at us after we've been figuring out what is it, what's the timing of that, how do we say that, how do we create this unease or this joy to have 100, 1,000, 2,000 people looking at us. What's that phrase? Social freeze. Champagne. When a group of people gets together, like in a music festival or something happens in that audience that is
free song. Yeah. Free song.
We'll think of it.
Yeah.
It's like champagne bubbly.
Yeah, it's like
Prosecco.
It's
existential. Communion. Yeah.
Well, well. So, did you both come to New York at similar times, or what? What was some of the? If I may ask this, what was your journeys after, say, childhood, after adolescence? But you escaped, if that's the word, world of lumber and wood and furniture, and you went to actually started doing roles. What were some of your?
Well, there's a fun, troubled, and romantic story as well that we'll tell.
Yes.
Of when we first met.
We met in our 20s. Oh no, wow. He was 31. He was 31. I'll never forget it. We both ended up working together in the summertime in California at a theater called PCPA Theater Fest in Santa Maria.
Pacific Conservatory of the Performing Arts in Santa Maria, California.
And I had been there. It was my 4th, I think, summer. And Andy came in to play his first summer to play Huck Finn in Big River. And then we were also both in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So we loved each other from the start, but had other things going on. Sure. And that was 1992. And then in 1994, we coincidentally moved to New York City within 2 months of one another.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it was before cell phones, of course, but we had voicemail.
Yeah.
And Andy had gotten my voicemail number from my friend. And then we reconnoitered and
I was rehearsing with a company that was the reason I came to New York City, the acting company, initially out of Juilliard.
Oh, wow. Oh,
and that was my first equity job. And I would spend all of my breaks on the hallway telephone, the payphone, seeing if I got any messages from Tina.
I remember those phones with the cord, right?
Yep, that cable cord.
They look they were usually like a turquoise.
Yeah.
The phones had a kind of turquoise color. Or those are the days to younger people. They probably don't even know what any of that is, right?
I know.
Well, I was just thinking to my mind, you were not the first. Well, it's all we have Laurie Strickland to thank for you coming on our show, and of course, as I said, we had this other couple in Montana who ran a art gallery, and that was most interesting. But I'm just want to know. You mentioned California. Did either one of you, or did you, Tina, ever do a stuff at Pasadena Playhouse? Did you ever cross paths with the Pasadena Playhouse?
No, I played Pasadena on the road, but not at the Pasadena Playhouse. And we both toured a lot, so we played everywhere. But strangely, some of those larger theaters like the Guthrie, we haven't played the Guthrie. We haven't. That's a
We've
bucket
auditioned
list
for them, and we have friends that have worked there, and we still may.
Is that? Are you from California as well, Mitch?
No, I'm from New York City.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm from Manhattan.
Pasadena Playhouse, anyway.
Well, but it's just so famous. I mean, when people think of Los Angeles theater, they think of that, I think, and other things.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter really. I'm just wondering. So you're Andy, you're talking on the phone to this woman that you like, fellow actor, on the payphone. What's going on with you two in those years, 90s? What comes to you? What if somebody asks you, okay, 1992 to 94, just pick those 4 years, or 92 to 95, what were standout theater productions, or could be television or movies or whatever, that stay with you? You like think, this is what I must mention. This is what stays with me the most, or this play, or this could be anything. What comes to your minds about in those years?
Well, that was we moved in 94 here, and so between I had a little radio career at that time. 94. I was working for KSSJ, Sacramento's first all digital radio station, and I really loved that. And I was acting at the Sacramento Theater Company, doing their seasons, and I had this radio show, and I might have stayed in Sacramento forever. But I got hired a second season at the Texas Shakespeare Festival. And for me, my second season at the Texas Shakespeare Festival, I had already made friends who were from New York. So they hire non-equity actors from all over the country. I was playing great parts. And my 4 best friends that summer were from New York, and they all lived in the Village. Weird.
Sure, yeah, that was.
And at that moment in this would have been 94. In the summer, I had forgotten to move to New York. I was like, oh, I forgot. With all the happiness of hearing myself on the radio, I forgot that had been my lifelong dream, to live in New York and to move to the East.
Sure.
I always wanted to move to the East. And so that was a really magical time, because I was having a blast. And at the same time, realizing my potential. And that summer I moved. And then I was like, oh, I've got to go to New York. That's August.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did.
If you had to pick, and also Andy, either one of you pick one production from the Sacramento years or that stands out, or something from radio. I mean, radio, a lot of listeners, audiences of our show might not know that there's an art to voice, an oration. And of course, you that's a whole subject onto itself, speaking, and elocution. And of course, you excel in that. And that's a but Andy, what was, either of you, 94, 95, you're like, well, that play stayed with me. That was a
I have to mention, not very often do we know we have a job far in the future, and we both have been asked to do a show at Shakespeare Theater New Jersey together. The It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play. Speaking of vocal things, but it's set up in a radio studio that we come into, and then
That's this
that's
holiday
the,
season.
That's the setup of it.
Coming up this Christmas.
But
I look forward to that. That's a great script by him. RobertRiskin and Capra is amazing. Don't get me started. That's an amazing.
I remember. I don't know.
He's playing Clarence, isn't he perfect?
Clarence.
Tina, are you the wife of?
No. Mothers, all the mothers,
and
the
girlfriend, and I mean, it's
a
5-person that we play like 40 parts.
Yeah, it's a multiple role. So
so you do that girl that Jimmy Stewart.
I get to say, oh, this old thing I only wear when I don't know what to wear.
That's a fun part, That's
Violet,
that's how we could buy it. Yeah, that's a whole. I don't want to go down the FrankCapra rabbit hole.
Anyway,
I'm a cinephile, so I could do it. But any of that, so you're doing. But I mean, from those years, that comes to mind. Shakespeare.
About shows. I am reminded. A thing comes to mind that I haven't thought of in many years. The Cheek by Jowl theater company that did As You Like It, I think it was, and I remember being so excited by that. Was that a British company?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
A British company.
And a British company. And also I spent a couple of years in London seeing many shows. And one of the things that I remember so vividly is Tony Harrison's The Mysteries, which was a series. It was like 3 separate plays that you could watch all in one day or throughout several days. Yeah. But it was a modern version of the mystery plays that in like the Dark Ages and medieval times, they would go from town to town on a little wagon and set up the Nativity and set up Doomsday and set up those things. But I remember that very, very well.
And alongside of these years, we were always musical, Andy and I both. Because we both grew up playing instruments. I grew up playing the piano, and then in school, clarinet and French horn. And then when I moved to New York, I had always wanted to play the guitar. And it was a way to strum away those blues. I found a John Denver songbook on the street, and I was like, that's the record I had. And that was my sign. So I went and I got a guitar, and then that really started.
I should don't mean to interrupt, but in your promotional materials is mention made of the accordion. Are you is that you're known for the accordion?
Well, yes, there is a show called Once, the musical that I've done quite a lot. That I was in the first national tour of that for 2.5 years. And so that role plays the accordion. And I had just like the guitar. After about 10 years, I saw a production of Cabaret on Broadway, and I had just done Cabaret. We had just done a great production. Barrington Stage Company. We went to Boston. We played in Cambridge and won Best of Boston. And I was playing a role called Fräulein Kost. And in this Broadway Sam Mendes production,
I think I saw you in that. I lived in Boston for 35 plus years. So
oh my gosh,
at the Hasty Pudding Theater, we did it.
Not just that, but I used to go to every Anne Bogart confection that she would come up with.
Neato! Wow!
All the debates with Robert Brustein, and then I used to also where I lived. So my apartment was right over where August Wilson and Lord Richards used to have meetings about every play that came through BU. So if I would go hang out and just hang out with August Wilson would be there having breakfast and
my gosh,
and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and they were in rehearsal, so that was kind of interesting.
Wow. So that
was, but that's Boston stuff, right? And did you know Anne Bogart or work with her? Did you?
No, I never did. No, but that anyway, just the accordion story. So I had just closed that. We did it for about 6 months. And I saw, then this Broadway version was coming with Alan Cumming. And it was so naughty. And I loved it. It was incredible. It made ours just look like, a happy production of whatever. And the Fräulein Kost played the accordion. And I came home and I was like, okay, I have to play the accordion. That's it.
And she got her grandmother to buy her an accordion.
My grandma gave me money to buy an accordion, and it's a difficult instrument. So it took me years, I'd say 5 years before I could play in front of anybody. But then, of course, once people know you play the accordion, I mean, you could be doing a Christmas carol and they're like, let's get the accordion. It's a fun instrument. It's got a lot of potential for sound and effects and stuff. So I do the accordion.
Yeah, and I play the mandolin is my main instrument, and I'm really fond of like folk instruments.
Okay.
Funny story, when I was in the acting company, that first equity job that I was doing in '94 that brought me to New York City, I was playing the part of a sailor, and the musical director and I were talking, wouldn't it be interesting if this sailor played an instrument? And I went down to the Music Inn, which is still there down in the village on West 4th. It was opened in the 50s, and I think the same guy that opened it is still there.
Jeffrey.
And I bought myself a set of panpipes. And just last week, we went into the store and saw the same guy, and we're looking at Borin drums.
Wow.
Funny back and forth. Yeah. But so
he's also great at whistles, penny whistles, and any kind of.
And once a producer director hears that, I have played in so many productions of Shakespeare. I have played an instrument here or there that many times wasn't even asked for. It's just like, oh, he plays the mandolin, let's have him play something.
Oh, sure. Well, that certainly fits certain Shakespeare plays.
Yes.
I'm wondering now, New York, you talk about you went back to a place and you said it was still there on West 4th. Do you think there's something about New York City of a continuity? Is there something, do New Yorkers in New York, in spite of everything, in spite of all the challenges and the things that New York does get wrong, like any big town like that, is there an attempt to have a continuity or over time? Do you find that, or is that whether it's a place or
Well, I believe that the lore of its own history, it cements itself in the imagination, in our society's imagination.
Sure.
As an example, when we went to the Music Inn last week to look for a bar on drum, they were going to have it's a tiny little music space. It's a tiny music store, tiny. And they were setting up chairs for an open mic
basement.
For an open mic night. It was about 6:00 on a Friday. And when we left that store, there were like 25 kids lined up with their guitars.
Oh, yeah.
To play in the smallest space for 15 people. I don't know, it's just
it would only fit like 12 people in that basement.
But that village feel still
is there. It's still
gets the imagination of any musician. So that kind of thing, yes. Yeah, the buildings change, and now we have Hudson Yards over here that overshadow any view of the Empire State Building. Like the Empire State Building is this big compared to the 16 skyscrapers that are on the west side in Midtown.
And there's still Maria's Crisis, right? I mean, on Christopher Street and Bar 50. I mean, there's still New Yorkers, I guess, are good at not tearing everything down. We're gonna preserve this, at least preserve a couple things.
And it's also it's got boundaries. It's only from the East River to the Hudson River.
Right.
So it's really it's fantastically pedestrian. We were just talking with a fellow that we met that was ready to start. They do an annual walking around Manhattan. I think it's 32 miles or something. And it just was like, that's one of the things that makes it special.
Yeah, it's really a great place in New York. Are there any productions? I say to you, Tina, Andy, what comes into your mind? Production you were in together. It doesn't have to be on stage. It could have been television. It could have been radio. I don't know. What comes into mind in the early 2000s? Say 99 to 2004. Some plays.
We did a fun tour of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers where we played an instrument. I played the accordion. He played the mandolin. But that was 2000.
The banjo, actually.
Oh, you played the banjo in that. 2007.
That's a great. I only know the film, but
music is so good.
Imagine, if you will, the curtain rises, and there's a field of stumps in the mist, big, huge stumps of like redwood trees, and on two of the stumps stand a woman with an accordion and a man with a banjo, and it's Mr. and Mrs. Holem, the mayor of whatever the town is, and we just start playing blank, 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 blank.
That was really super fun.
So you folks have done a lot of musicals then, or have a fair amount of musicals. It sounds
I grew up in musicals.
You grew up?
I was very fortunate to have a lot of mentors who did acting work alongside of the musicals. And in high school, I had to me, legendary inspiration in my high school drama teacher, Sherry Clark, now Sherry Merriam, who did plays as well. And we did Lillian Hellman's The Children's Hour. Like, she picked real plays.
Oh, yeah.
And so even though I'd grown up in musicals, I'd had a fair bit of acting training. In fact, we even did Meisner when I was like 12. Wow. I didn't know it was Meisner, but we were repeating. My little acting teacher was doing all this repeating. But
for audience, hold that thought. For audiences that don't know, who was Sandy Meisner and what was his?
Well, it sounds like you know better than me.
Yeah.
No, that's only through my dad. But I never studied acting myself, but I'd only heard stories. But if you had to, what were those things that you mentioned that you learned, or what were the principles? If that's the way to put it, or what was?
Well, I guess I would say it's to be present and not have preconceived ideas of how you think you're going to act.
Okay.
But it's in response to what your acting partner is doing, and that affects what you are doing, and then what you are doing affects what they are doing, and together you create a scene. But you can't do it by yourself. So
yeah, and it's connected to like the open theater and Grotowski and some of those
Judith Beck, Judith Malina, right? Malina and right?
Yeah. I don't know Judith,
but just
I don't know. I don't know a lot about Meisner, but it just so happened, since you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But here I was a 12-year-old doing musicals in community theater, but so I found that doing that fair bit of acting in high school enabled me to have the skills to, and a resume. I had played May, and I had played Dolly, I had played Roxy in Chicago by the time I was 15. And so that gave me the acting chops to then come to New York and feel confident enough. So I started doing musicals here. That's how I got my equity card at Paper Mill and Goodspeed. But then began working at the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey, where Andy had been a company member. And then I got to start playing parts and doing Shakespeare. And that was a very important transition for me to do, because I no longer, I had done a chorus line 3 times.
Oh, wow.
But I got the hips, I got arthritis and whatever, like I'm not dancing anymore, really. So,
doing chorus line is, I guess, creative casting. No. There's a lot of things you could do with that show, right? You've done Fosse twice. You played Roxy Hart. What an amazing book. That's an amazing role for a woman to do Roxy Hart. That's like one of the great roles, right?
Yeah, and it was before, and this was in the 80s, so it was after the original, but before the revival.
That's right.
But anyway, so I did come from musicals. Andy, I would say,
more from Shakespeare. I started like one of my first real seasons with a theater company was the Montana Shakespeare Festival, Shakespeare in the Parks in the mid 80s, and that kind of got me in love with Shakespeare. And then Utah Shakespearean Festival, And then acting company, we were doing Shakespeare, Othello, and then the African company presents Richard III, a really interesting play about New York history, a Black theater company doing Richard III. And so I came at it more from classical theater, and then would be playing instruments and singing sometimes, and once in a while would be cast in a musical, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So still kind of similar, but
we just got to do a brand new musical called Big Famous. So by the time this podcast airs, who knows? But it's a polka. It's
the
based
Polka
in
Ponzi musical.
Polka. So in that, I'm playing the clarinet and Andy's playing the trombone, because it's a big polka orchestra. And so that was, and there were accordions there too, but they didn't even ask me to play the accordion because they needed my clarinet. But that is really fun. And so we're hoping, we did a 3-week workshop here in New York, and we gave 2 presentations for the money people. And so, keep your ears to the ground. Big Famous coming your way.
It's they made a movie called Polka King with Jack Black, which is a really fun that story.
Yeah, it's the same story. It's about a man named Jan Levan who's still alive.
And a fun little tidbit from this Christmas, we both did a Christmas Carol in different theaters. I was at Shakespeare Theater in New Jersey, and Tina was at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery for a second year of a Christmas Carol. And for the first time, maybe in our lives, we played the same role in the same production in different theaters, Mrs. Fezziwig.
Yeah, we both played Mrs. Fezziwig this past Christmas. So. I don't know who was more beautiful.
Yeah.
He was pretty cute.
Well, being a couple, married, right? And you live together, I imagine, and you do the same profession. That's I don't know. Originally, a long time ago when I was starting my show, I said to Lori, I want to get Richard Benjamin and Paula Prentice to come on the show, but we couldn't find Richard, at least as far as I know, Richard Benjamin and Paula Prentice. But you're kind of the equivalent here. I just think it's funny. Is there this is kind of I'm sure it's just a question you get a lot. So, and maybe it's a dumb question, but is it true that there's really not a great difference between dramatic play, where there's no singing, musical with song and dance, comedy, tragedy? Are they more similar? I mean, from an actor's perspective, in terms of what or are there some differences, or that do you understand what I'm just curious about that?
I think they are quite different, largely because often cast size and depending on the music, the score, if it's quite labor intensive, most of your rehearsal time will go toward learning the music, learning the choreography, traffic control on stage.
So many times learning the instrument that you're playing on stage live.
Practicing the instrument anyway. But I think that, to me, that sort of makes it a different kind of beast to put together. I also, there are small musicals. It doesn't have to be that way, but the learning of the music and the performing of the music is often sort of the first thing you think of when you think of an actual musical. So that often takes, and the casting is different. You don't just want somebody, I do think it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I was going to say about, it's slipped my mind now.
Probably about tragedy and comedy, tragedy tomorrow, tonight, or
no, it was about married couples. One thing that I just feel so grateful that Andy and I love each other so much. We just had our 20-year wedding anniversary. Thank you. There's there isn't a professional jealousy, and it seems like there would be. Like, he gets all the auditions. We've got a commercial agent that just loves him. Look at how handsome he is. And he gets all these commercial auditions. But whenever one of us gets a job, it's like we both get a job. We're both.
I see. So you share your, in a way, share your goals and your accomplishments.
Exactly.
And we know how much that support means in the uncertainty of auditioning and sending in the tape and the callback, and if we should be fortunate enough to book the job, the task of literally packing up and shipping yourself off to another state and setting up house. But we really do support each other completely.
Yeah, and nowadays, we're almost always doing audition tapes for the initial audition, and then they'll call, and then perhaps you'll be invited into the room for a callback. And so we're just doing that all the time. And
is that the newer system or the newish system of how
it is? Yeah, since the pandemic, and even before the pandemic, we were doing tapes, but now the casting people can see so many more actors if they just send in tapes.
But we have a big question mark of what are they lacking? What are they missing with us not being able to walk into the room with them?
Yeah.
Oh, the entrance, right? The almighty entrance.
And just the chemistry.
Yeah.
The literal chemistry of this person in the room with us.
Relationship.
That's not possible. Yeah. So we just have to trust that they're getting what they need, but we'll never.
That is well. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like to think of this one experience that I had of a job that I got was right after 9/11. My audition was right here. We live in Midtown Manhattan, and my audition was quite close, and there were a whole bunch of Canadians all waving American flags, with shirts that say "We love America," and they had bussed down 2 or 3 buses of these Canadians, and they were waiting in line to go into Roseland, and the mayor was going to be speaking. It was very soon after 9/11, and
that was a different era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't a part of you miss those that day, or miss those that era a little bit? Just saying, there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big conversation.
It is a big conversation,
but what happened was my attention had gone to these beautiful people trying to send love to New York City.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Came into the audition room so on fire with this civic uprising of love. And I told them the story right away. I was like, you guys, I just saw this line of Canadians and they said, "Oh, we love America." And they were waving American flags. Yeah. Okay, here's my song, and I sang. And I mean, I was right for the part and everything. But I'm not surprised I got that job because I came in Jacques Brel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I came in with like a real energy. I didn't come in like, "Hello, I'm Tina Stafford, I'm 5'9", which I think a lot of times we do that. We come into a room and we're like,
I don't know,
presenting ourselves like we think they want us to be.
Yeah.
And so the authenticity of human to human contact is what we're lacking in these tapes nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make clear my comments about that era is that I'm excluding, of course, there are awful things. I mean, the event was awful, but I'm talking about what I miss is Canadians and New Yorkers liking each other.
Oh, yes.
Is that, that's a part, I love it, that shared. That's the only thing I didn't want to be.
We're actually planning a trip.
We're heading to Montreal,
spend money in Canada.
Send some love their way.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's crazy.
But
I see. Thank you for clarifying.
I'm remembering an audition I had the day.
Oh yeah, because
the day after 9/11, I had an audition for a touring production of Scooby-Doo Live in Stage Fright. And I was auditioning for part of Mr. Crawley, Creepy Crawley, the
guy who says, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids.
And I got that job.
He got that job.
So we both were busy.
When you have to travel, so that's something else to ask you. I mean, you mentioned many times of being put up in different towns and this kind of thing. Is there anything you want to say? It sounds like it's kind of, there are challenges or maybe adventures. What comes to your mind when you think about going to a different town for a job? And that's its own story, right? That's its own.
Well, it's exciting, right? Even if it's a little town, it's new. It's not your same old apartment.
Yeah.
When we do it a lot, it gets a little sad for us. We want to be home. This is our home. And as you see, we live in a colorful, celebratory fashion.
Oh, yeah. The mile flags. We haven't taken them down yet.
How far are you to the Red Flame Coffee Shop on 44th and 5th and 6th? Are you close? Is that still there, the Red Flame?
Red Flame.
Is it between 5th and 6th? I think there's a Red Flame right up here on
Flame Diner, right?
Yeah. Close.
That's right.
Close. We're on. Yeah, we're just
43rd and 10th.
43rd and 10th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It gets busy there, doesn't it? This time of year, doesn't it?
Well, 10th Avenue. Luckily, we're far enough over.
Oh, okay.
That the tourists sometimes don't make it this far west. Well, one thing about being on the road is that we've gotten really good at it, and we have 2 coffee makers and 2 rice makers and 2
you travel with all
and 2
yep.
So that when we get to the tiniest town you've never heard of, you can set up your place, and it's like a sanctuary. It needs to be a place where you will feel like home.
And because of
for us, a lot of actors don't travel like this. A lot of actors just travel with their clothes, and they don't put anything on the walls, or they don't. We've got
oh wow! So you're really prepared when you travel. It's almost like an art form when you guys travel. You got the rice cooker. Is that what it is, or coffee? Or
that's new. Yeah, he bought me a little tiny travel rice cooker this year.
What kind do you recommend for people for rice cookers?
Zojirushi. That's the brand that we use and love it. But also with self-taping being more prevalent for the first round of auditions, it allows, if one of us has a job out of town, the other one can go with that person, help them set up, hang out for a week or 2, and audition from wherever we are, and send a tape. And we travel with ring lights and tripods and all of the material we need to do an audition in any room, anywhere.
Yeah, it does allow us to be together more. That's right.
Yeah.
The self-taping.
Have you folks ever been asked to do, like a TED Talk, for example, on being on the secrets of a good marriage, or that's this kind of thing? Have you ever thought about doing you know what I mean? That gets us there's a hunger. Isn't
We've been asked by friends.
Yeah.
This category of question. Yeah. I've never thought to put it into I do a lot of writing, and so I write a lot about us, about Andy, about our lives, and that's an interesting idea, because it really is a partnership different from others where, say, he goes to work 8 to 5 and I don't, or whatever, like if we were not in the theater, it would be a totally different life.
Sure.
But luckily we support each other and help each other chase our dreams, and then we chase each other around the country and the world.
What is your impression of different parts of the country when you travel? So what places have you been? I mean, we talked about California, Jersey, upstate New York. What are some other, I don't know, whatever, Michigan, I don't know.
Well, everywhere we end up going, we're going to be in a theater community.
Okay.
And so it's often not reflective of the state nor even the city sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Because we're in an artistic place.
Interesting.
And
right.
But who knows where our housing would be? Sometimes we're housed further.
That's the reason I'm asking. I'm just curious. Anything?
Yeah.
And one thing, because both of us are gregarious and love to get to know people that we're going to be working with for a month or two. And one of the first things we generally do is find the local backstage crew that it's just their job and they're there all year long, and start picking their brains about their favorite pub, their favorite park, their favorite like restaurants or places to go, and just kind of get to know the lay of the land through them.
Yeah.
And their favorite haunts, and then try to find natural areas, nature conservancy areas, places like that are we always look for that kind of thing.
And we are unusual in that we don't watch television. So we don't have that umbilical cord to the evening hours, which are often dominated by screens for hours and hours and hours.
Okay.
I occasionally, if I'm working by myself, I will follow perhaps one, I'm almost through The Crown, for example, but that is a big difference, because when we get to a place, we go to the museums and we ask the people, and we go to their little towns or their little parks or their little events, and we participate in whatever civic things we can.
Sure.
And we don't watch TV. And so I think a lot of actors, they go out of town. As long as there's a TV in the bedroom and a TV in the living room, they're good. They go to rehearsal, they come home, they make dinner, they watch TV. And I'm not saying this about all actors, but I think a lot of actors, we get to a town, we start rehearsal the next day.
It's a way to survive that initial shock of suddenly moving to another town for a month or two or more.
Yeah. And if you're, there for 12 hours and then you start rehearsal at 10 a.m. 6 days a week for the first month you're there, it really takes an adventurous spirit to parse away, to take the time to find those interesting parts of town. And that's something we love. We really did a lot of exploring in the 2 seasons I spent at Alabama.
Also,
Shakespeare were fascinating. Montgomery is such a fascinating town. The Equal Justice Initiative is down there, and we made a lot of time for that.
To visit the legacy sites there. Just if anybody is going to Montgomery, check out the legacy sites through the Equal Justice Initiative.
Yeah.
But the one interesting point is, because we've worked in so many states for so many years, we have acquaintances all over the country. And Tina will be doing a play in Bloomington, Indiana, and suddenly realize, oh my gosh, I have a high school friend, or who is the
Joel from Texas Shakes, up in Lafayette,
Yeah, and they're like an hour away. There's somebody I became friends with years ago, and so that also makes it smooths out the loneliness. The initial, especially loneliness of when you arrive in a place and are like, oh, Mom, I want to go home.
When I travel the U.S., which isn't as often as it used to be, I'm always overwhelmed by how large this country is in terms of just miles. It's just so huge. You could be in one state and keep hours and hours, and you never get out of the state. It's just it's a big country.
It is.
And just Tina, any impressions of Imelda Stanton? One of my favorite actresses. I don't know.
I mean, that's who I I sort of aspire to be an older British woman even today. That's some of my favorite. Noel Coward, is my favorite thing to do is Noel Coward.
What Noel Coward have you done?
Blithe Spirit. Yeah, Blithe Spirit, Hay Fever, Fallen Angels, of a lesser known. But I love Imelda Staunton and grand dames of the British theater, of course.
And she was playing them when she was 10 and 11 and 12.
I know. For some reason, I've always had a thing for the Brits.
And they were casting you like...
Yeah, I was...
Aunt Eller and...
already being cast as an older woman as a young girl. I was... Well, we're both character actors. Yeah. And that's what a blessing, right? Because now we're in our 50s and early 60s, and we're still playing the parts we always played because we're always character actors, even as kids.
Well, I'm going to be 58 in October. I'm 57, so we're Gen Xers, right? So any thoughts on what Gen X means? We're a misunderstood. Don't you think we're kind of a misunderstood generation or cohort? Any ideas you want to say out there about what makes X marks it? We Xers? What do we?
I don't think about it.
I don't really think about it.
That's a very Gen X thing, by the way, to not think about it.
Is it?
Gen Xers love to disavow that there is such a thing, both that there is such a thing as Gen X and also that it's important.
That's funny.
I think there's something to it.
That is so funny.
I think we're a coherent, definable generation like boomers are like. But go ahead. I didn't.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it does come out in just, we don't watch TV. I do have social media, but I don't post very much.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm very aware of the fact that when I go on to social media sites, I'm depressed after. And I see the correlation, so I don't do it. I do feel like there's a logic, an analogness about Gen X, because we can still remember a time.
The time before.
So we're in a way lucky, I think, to have that.
We need the time of humanity, humanism.
Yeah.
That's on paper and people, right? People speaking on a stage, or playing a musical instrument. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't think of Gen X very much personally, but I think we spend a lot of time pursuing good personal communication with friends and family. That's a big part of our lives.
Yeah, connection, and remembering and following through, and that's something I at least really find lacking today, is the temporariness of everything, even friendships. And I think following through makes somebody feel special. You'll be old enough then to remember Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which my mother gave me when I was 15 years old, and I'll never forget it. And it taught me to remember. I can remember names, and I say the name when I meet a person, and they can't believe it. They're like, how did you remember my name?
Mitch, we are here because of that very thing.
Okay.
When we met Lori Strickland, I was like, that is somebody special.
We really liked her
name, and we would say, hi, Lori, and make sure to sit next to her in our catering van, and just kind of, then she went away and pursued a different life, and we were like, I think we should keep in touch with her.
We caught her.
She is somebody special, and here we are because of her.
Well, I guess those are people. You could call those people skills. I mean, if you read Dale Carnegie, he's got his own. He has his own scene, Dale Carnegie, his own thing. Get a book so young like that. That's interesting. That book.
Yeah.
Yes. And my mom was always interested in making me a well-rounded person. And she did I think she did a good job.
I think she did
I do
too.
say so. That must have sounded really conceited. I'm sorry.
Well, people have feelings about their own families, and that's fair. I mean, it's a welcome thing to hear that somebody feels good about their family experience. Not everybody's family experience is kosher or is,
Yeah.
Okay, so it's great that that you heard that.
Yeah. And my mom's still alive and
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
doing great. And I am blessed to have.
We both are. Yeah.
Yeah, we both are, to have her as a friend. She's still in the house that I grew up in, that she grew up in, by the way, in Sunnyvale, California.
Wow. What do you two have coming up in the summer? What is going on with
Ouch, Mitch, ouch.
ouch.
We had a bunch of good auditions.
Yep.
And
the opportunities are still coming.
Seems like we didn't book anything.
Well, Resident Acting Company is a newish company in town that came out of the Pearl Theater Company that closed maybe 10 years ago, 10 years ago. The core members of the Pearl Company created and are sticking through thick and thin to produce our first full production in the fall, which is going to be Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh.
And so there's that. And that's exciting to be part of a upcoming company doing our thing, courageously figuring out how to get some money and have a production.
Yeah. And I've got 3 readings of 2 new plays and a new musical this month. So things like that happen a bit more last minute living in New York City. So tomorrow I'm going to read a new play, and this weekend, all weekend, down at La Mama, I'll be reading a new play. And then I'm doing it, and then doing a new musical at the end of the month. So those kind of things are what we do, when we're not away, is we get to be a part of new and upcoming work that may or may not have legs, as they say, but it's always a thrill to work on new pieces. And that's something that I love doing. And I'm out of town so much that I kind of forget that that's what I'm in New York City to do. To work in New York City is what I really would like to do. So, that's the goal, is to work and sleep in my own bed.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Imagine.
Yeah, imagine that. Be in one's own bed. Even good things come to an end, like this episode. Unfortunately, but before I would like you, Andy, and you, Tina, to both say things that's on your mind that you want to be said in 2025, and going into the summer now. It's getting warmer in May. Each of you, and then this is going to sound even more different separately, but also something you want to say to each other in the world, to each other. Anything. Could be anything that's on your mind. Doesn't have to be anything you want.
I would, I've heard this phrase quite a bit, and it's so true all the time, to you, Tina, and to everybody. Courage is contagious. Talk about communication and connection and pursuing good communication. Courage, people see it, and it inspires them to be courageous as well in challenging times, in confusing times, in lonely times.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. I would say, in the words of a director that I worked with in the 90s, I was doing a Man of La Mancha, and it was a really difficult play, and there's a rape scene, and I was just kind of tortured, although it was all going well. And I said, gosh, can you give me any, I'm really struggling with coming off stage and finishing this play, and not, and she just went, I think what you're doing is good. And that was it. So she just was like, and so I just feel so lucky to be here. The challenge that we face as actors is to get the work. The work of being an actor is trying to get the work. And so I'd say just, he did an audition before we had this interview.
Oh, okay.
This morning.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like what you're doing is so good. And the
With that dialect though is good.
I think what you're doing is good. but the pursuit is noble.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the outcome is. And that's not news to either of us, but
it's worth
that's the
some
hard
things
part.
Are worth repeating. That's worth repeating.
And then when you get the job, it's like a vacation.
Mitch, what about you?
What about me? What?
Tell us something that about 2025 and that you would say to Lori or us, or that you'd want people to hear.
Oh, that's a tough one. I need a little bit of time for that.
Yeah, Andy put you on the spot.
We got time.
We may not have been here before. Just any one of us could be too young to have been here before or not seen it, right? Or like it, but somebody somewhere has been here before.
Yeah.
Something like it and gotten through it.
Yeah.
How about that for a? I know that's it can come to
very poetical.
I like that.
Me too. Thank you.
So we can do that. We can do it, and also, I hope you two get work. How about that? I'll say that.
Yeah,
we will.
We will.
So, and break a leg. I don't know what else. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here, and
thank you.
This was really a joyous occasion for me. And also what I said at the outset, that I think actors are underrated.
Yeah.
Art form. People.
Well, we're honored to be here, Mitch and Lori. Thank you so much for getting us here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
And we'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye.